And bitch, I always adapt to what I think the other person wants me to be. Every single time. Even with my last ex, I'm like, am I going to be Christian now? Like, I just, like, take that on.
Bitch, what I was trying to say is this situation got me so wet and so dry
at the same time.
Exactly.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I am one of your hosts, Autumn, like the season. I'm sick right now. I don't want to hear anything from y'all. And I work in entertainment.
And I'm your other host, Fiji, like the island, like the water. My coochie is bald right now, and I work in social media and marketing.
If you guys are new here, what we do on So Wet, So Dry is we explore duality through deep diving topics about sex, relationships, personal identity, where internet trends and reality collide. We post polls for every single episode, so make sure you guys are following us on Instagram at So Wet, So Dry. The O's are zeros. And honestly, whatever you're doing right now, whatever platform you're on, please press the follow button, rate us, subscribe, like, comment. We're very active in the comments on YouTube. So yeah, hit us up.
Hit us up. And today we are talking about relationship you versus single you. Why do we like certain versions better? Is it normal to lose your identity in a relationship? What are the signs and why does this happen? But before we get into that, we're going to start the episode as we always do, talking about what we're so wet and so dry about in this very moment. So I'll go first. I'm so wet about Vonsway Hendrix again. Okay, if you guys are loyal listeners, then you know that he sent me and Autumn a shirt. She wore one in our clingy episode. The back is really cool. I won't turn around, but
love the back.
You get the vibe. Yeah, it's a handprint. It's like heat mapped, whatever. I'm gonna post pictures on my Instagram, so make sure you go follow me at So Wet, the O is a zero, and like the picture, bitches. And also, Vonsway Hendrix link will be in the description. Follow him and buy some stuff.
Yes, I love that. We love Vonsway so much. My pictures are coming, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's really hard to fucking post on Instagram. Who would have thought? Anyways, I'm so wet because I don't know if I talked about this, but I got my Hinge back, y'all. So I've been on my Hinge shit. And there's one specific person that I think is so hot, but I'm really just on my isolation shit right now, but he literally watches the podcast, so shout out, okay?
Shout out.
But I'm just wet because I really want to explore and get out there again. I don't want a relationship. I don't really want to get to know someone on a super deep level, but I do want to just make friends and
go out,
have sex.
Yes, suck some dick, eat some pussy.
It's good.
Yes.
I think Hinge is good, but I haven't had a dating app in 3 years, so I'm definitely I have a unique perspective.
Yes, okay, so I'm so dry about a lot, guys. If you follow us on YouTube, then you probably saw I broke my ankle and my elbow 2 weeks before I also had nose surgery. So I've just been completely bedridden, sick as fuck, broken as fuck. I keep trying to walk on my foot thinking it's better, but it's not completely better yet. But yeah, I wanted to get drunk and think that I could skateboard down a ramp, which was really fucking stupid. It did not work out. I ended up at Grady for 5 hours, and yeah, but we're healing, I feel there's valleys before there's peaks. I'm getting better. We took a break from recording and now we're back, so
we sure did.
I feel it means that something good is coming. That's how I'm trying to look at it.
Yeah, that was all so crazy, honestly. When you told me that shit, I couldn't fucking believe it. I'm there's no way she has to be exaggerating, but nope, she wasn't.
My mom thought it was an April Fool's joke. I'm no, bitch, this is real life, unfortunately.
I mean, you made a great video out of it.
Mm-hmm. I did.
That video was fucking, you really captured the moment for everyone. But yeah, babe, you're healing. We're good. It's your cleansing out everything else. I would say I'm not this isn't super dry, but it's that whole thing about duality, how you and I we're always we feel there's this one version of ourselves, and maybe that version has a character name, and then the other version of ourselves. And I was watching this podcast, I don't even remember which one, but Fletcher was on it. If you guys don't know, Fletcher's one of my favorite people. She's a singer, whatever. Same birthday as Fiji, actually, fun fact. But she was talking about how, like, you know, Fletcher writes some lyrics and then Carrie, like her government name, will write the chorus. And I'm just like, you know, I feel like growing up, you always think like you're the only one experiencing these things. And I'm like, oh, like we're so special. Like we have duality. But it's like, I think like honestly, everyone has it. But then you think about some like fucking narrow-minded people, they don't have it. Like I don't think everyone has it. Not everyone feels the need to like have a different name and like a different kind of identity. I mean, she's a singer, so it makes sense. It's like a stage
and
name.
A lot of singers, like Hannah Montana is who I always fucking think of.
Right.
Or like superheroes, like they have, it's always been in like art and like media, so it makes sense because it's like, especially in the corporate world, you have to fit into this little box where people see you as.
I know. So yeah, it's just like interesting to think about. When she said that, I was like, oh my God. But I definitely don't think everyone has alter egos like that. But I do think like the average bitch, if you asked her, she's like, yeah, I kind of have two different personalities.
Right.
You know? But let's get into this episode. The reason you guys are really here. As Fiji said, we're talking about, you know, relationship you versus single you. I feel like men and women, non-binary people, all genders, like we all feel that difference. And I think there's like an idea of like when you're healed, quote unquote, it's like that kind of goes away. You're able to like be your authentic self, whether you're single or in a relationship or whatever. And, you know, the loss of identity in relationships is like, I don't know if it's always been around. I'm sure it has, but I think our generation specifically, it's like a really big problem. And yeah, we want to talk about like the signs you are losing yourself in a relationship, how it's different for like men versus women. And yeah, we'll just get into it. So we're going to start with the first poll that we asked you guys, which is which version of yourself do you like better? And 40% said relationship me and 60% said single me.
Wow.
And it's kind of like, it's crazy to think that like we do like certain versions of ourselves better. And like, I want to ask like, why do we think that is? But I definitely feel like I like single me better too. Like, but I also just feel like it's because, like, you know, all my relationships, I'm, like, growing up, I'm, like, not fully ready to maybe love. So I kind of acted a fool in some of them. But I don't know. I just like being single in general. But maybe I'm just pessimistic right now.
Yeah, I feel you. Because I was going to say, like, I honestly voted for relationship me, which I think is really interesting.
That makes sense for you, though.
But also, like, I'll get into it later how I totally lost my identity, like, in a specific relationship. So, like, it's iffy because, like, I get you. Like, when the relationship's on the rocks and you're, like, insecure or you're anxious or you start feeling like you're not yourself, then definitely no. But I also feel like when the relationship is solid, I just like having, like, someone to ground me. I don't know. I feel like when I'm single, I'm way too chaotic out there. I make a lot of bad decisions. And like that's something I've been working on in therapy is like being able to just make good decisions for like myself and not having to do with another person, you know? Yeah. So that's just like I should probably get better about that. But yeah.
You know what's crazy, dude? Like,
what?
Honestly, I feel like because I've been in more open relationships than monogamous.
Yeah.
Like, yes, my last girlfriend, like, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it was, like, I count that as a relationship, but it was very short. Like, if I think about my long-term shit, I've been in more open. So I think it's, like, that has given me the opportunity to merge my single self with my relationship self. Because you're not single, but you kind of are. Like,
because it's pretty much the same. It's just without, like, maybe that anxiety or the stress of... Because that's the thing. None of our relationships have worked out. So we can't really even completely picture ourselves in a relationship that, like, maybe you like that version of yourself more if it's, like, completely healthy. But obviously none of ours have worked out. So.
But girlfriend number one, like, I loved me when I was with her. But I almost think I took it too far. It's not that I lost my identity, but it's like I tried to take on hers. Yeah. And I think you try to... I don't think it's always bad. Like, it's like because you're figuring yourself out. Like, even with you and like my first roommate in college, it's like trying to wear other people's clothes. Like, how does this feel on me? Yeah. But it's like, it totally depends on the person that you're like in a relationship with, I think. But I think like girlfriend number one kind of changed me for the better though, because I like broke out of my shell and like wasn't afraid to like not shave and like things like that.
And
I
you
would
were
never
younger. You were younger, so you were like exploring
I
like
was
different
naive,
things.
bitch.
You were finding yourself, like all of that stuff. Yeah. I feel like see it was good because you were like trying things that were like outside your comfort zone. I feel like when I was in relationship, like my last like toxic abusive relationship, I like went back. Like I had gotten out of my comfort zone and tried new styles, like thinking differently, and then in that relationship kind of like degraded, like went backwards almost, you know?
Yeah, totally. And I also just want to add, like, I know that single me won, like people like single themselves better, but for the people that said relationship, like I feel like especially as women, because it's like a lot of women's like ultimate goals to like find a great love, a lot of men too, I'm sure. But it's like that would make sense that you would like relationship you better because you feel like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
That's such a
Whereas
good point.
like we're like a little rebellious, so it's like, oh, like I don't need no man. I like it better like this. Yeah.
That's such a good point.
But let's get into like women's POV with this first, obviously because we're women, so we can relate to it more. But this is like a very like it was like a trend on Twitter, just like a meme that I saw going around a lot, and it's essentially relationship me is extremely soft, single me is a thug, two very different people. I mean, I would never describe myself as a thug personally, but I do see like what's going on. I want to know what you think about that though.
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like when you're casually dating or you're just on dating apps or you're going out, you don't really give a fuck. Like, no one's hurting your feelings. Like, when you're in a relationship, you're like, I just want to cuddle up. I just want to be laid up. Like, I don't even want to go out. Like, da-da-da-da. But I think it's, like, interesting that we're in this time of, like, situationships where people are, like, single in relationships because then they're not thugging it out. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, bitches are single but going through all the bad shit of a relationship. So it's, like, that weird kind of middle, which I feel like I've been in.
Dude, that's so true. I mean, I feel like part of me has, too, and it's just like interesting to me how polar opposite that is. Like a thug versus extremely soft. It's like I feel like we all like to take things to extremes, like make it relatable, all that, but it's just like I don't know. I don't like love it that it's like that, but I do feel like especially for women, like a part of like being that like thug energy, like direct doesn't give a fuck. That's because we have to put up with shit and like dating guys is like horrible. Once you get into that relationship, though, it makes sense. You're, like, more relaxed. You feel safe.
Yeah.
So,
but I feel like that you need to find, like, a balance. Like, I feel like all the girls are talking about, oh, I want to be soft. I want to be in my feminine energy, da-da-da-da-da, like, in a relationship, like, obviously. But it's like you still need to be able to bring some of that thug energy to a relationship so that you can set boundaries and everything. So.
Right. Whether you're straight, gay, fucking whatever. Yeah. Like. I don't want to lose all of that and become like so soft, and that goes exactly into the TikTok that we're about to show now. You guys are just listening audio. Basically, that TikTok was kind of how like single you is like fun, loving, confident. You look so good. And then relationship you is like locked in, like super loyal, like crying all the time, just like not having a good time. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like this shit's literally a trend. There's so many videos exactly like that. So many different bitches, so many different relationships. Like, I'm like, this is sad. And I know it's like kind of the era of like toxicity, I guess, like with social media and like everything this next generation has. It just makes it like more capable to be extremely toxic. But I'm like, this is why I don't want a relationship.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? Like,
see, I'm just like, I'm in that in-between space of like, I'm half in something, half I'm still single. I don't know. But like, it's going well. But I feel like one thing that I've like been very thinking about all the time is I don't want to put my happiness in another person. And like, when I was with my ex, like, for example, like, I think I was a little delusional in certain senses about, like, his behavior and letting it affect me. Like, if he went out all night and didn't come home, I'd be at home crying, da-da-da-da. And it's like, those things where you like let their behaviors like affect your mood to the point where it's like you're not being able to function or focus, like depending on what they're doing. And that is a space that I never want to be in again, because like, no.
Right. It's normal to like be affected. Like, it's like, that's your partner. That's like, that's who you love. But exactly what you said, if it makes you not be able to function and you're crying and you feel like you can't live without them type shit, like,
right,
that's when it's just so bad. Like, and I relate to that so much. It's like, I know, I never want to be in that space again either. And I say sometimes, I'm like, well, I don't want someone to have a hold over my emotions. But I do think that's kind of like a reach. I think when you're dating someone, they are gonna have some holds. Like, that's just how it is. Like, if you're locked in, you're in love, like, there's no way to like really get away from that. But again, how much holds? Are you not able to function, or do you cry a little and get on with your day? Like, that's the difference.
And that's the thing, because you got to figure out how to have like, one, you got to figure out how to find the right partner, and a partner that's not going to be toxic and whatever. Step one. Well, not even. Step one is being like secure in yourself, where it's like, no matter what is happening, like a bad day at work, whatever, like you can like cry about it, but you can also like pick yourself up and go like work out, go to the store, like da-da-da-da, like those things to distract yourself. Because like, I don't know, like I feel like I've dealt with that, like being in this like situationship space of like half in a relationship, half not. Like there's been moments where it's like, we're like disagreeing or like something's happening, but like I know that we're going to talk about it later, and that's when I need to think about it. So, like, right now I just need to, like, take care of myself or whatever. And I feel like part of that is just growing up, and also just, like, the, like, bond that you create with your partner, because it's, like, you shouldn't be crying beside yourself. I feel like that's usually either a sign that you're not ready for a relationship or a sign that your partner's toxic.
Right. And people embellish things on TikTok, but I low-key feel like that is literally reality.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
really
so relatable.
I mean, those are real videos of bitches crying. Like, I don't know. This other TikTok that we're going to play is about the boyfriend effect, in quotes. So let's watch it now. So I'm just like, I honestly feel like this is not like lesbians. Like, I don't think there's like a girlfriend effect for lesbians, but this is something that's like been prominent and like on my mind since like high school. Like, I remember, this is so fucked up, but I remember in high school, like this one couple was to get like, as soon as they got together, they both like gained a bunch of weight. Like, they weren't fat. Like, we weren't making fun of them because they were fat, but it was just like, damn, they were both like fit human beings. They got together and just like ate so much. And I'm like, that's sweet and cute, but I'm like, this is like what they're talking about.
Well, yeah, because people say you can like gain weight with your partner because they're fucking you so good or whatever, you gain it in your ass or like whatever. But I've heard of like boyfriend air. I've also seen on TikTok trending like school air, which I'm like, that was definitely a thing when we were in school, just TikTok wasn't out. But like, you know, when you're like at school all day and you like look like shit, like after you go and spend time with your boyfriend and then you leave and you look like shit. And I feel that because even though I'm not in a relationship right now, like I'm in something, and like when he comes over, it's like usually the end of the day, so like I'll put a little bit of makeup on, but if we're fucking, I'm gonna look crazy. And then the next day, if we're chilling, I'm not gonna do my makeup because I'm comfortable with him, and I'm just gonna wear lounge clothes. Like, I'm like, thank God for the podcast and like friends and shit, because honestly, most of the time when I'm with him, I don't do my makeup. Like, you know, you just get comfortable.
Right, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And I think our society is kind of looking at it like it is. Like, I know we always want to be like single hot girl summer, like look so hot. But I think part of it is like kind of nice. It's like you don't feel like you have to try so hard, you know? Like, you would never go on a first date without makeup. Like, that's just not a thing that would happen for us. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, because again, this was like, there's so many videos just like this. It's like the boyfriend effect where it's like you just let yourself go. And this is kind of sad, but honestly, I feel like when I'm in relationships, I like get skinnier because I'm like stressed. I'm like, I want to look good for them. I know it's really sad, but honestly, I'm the opposite. Like, I feel like when I'm single, I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. Like, no one.
Yeah, no, like, I feel like all my relationships I got uglier in because I was just like, I wasn't getting dressed. Like, I let one of my exes like style me, bitch. That was like an era. Like I looked crazy. He was trying to put me in like
Bitch,
Nikes
you've never been
and
ugly
shit.
a day in your life. Though,
Okay, but like
honestly.
Nikes and like athletic
It was like a
shorts.
vibe,
It was like
like-
a different look. It wasn't really like
I mean,
my
fuck
type of
him,
vibe.
like,
And he wanted me to
you
wear
made it.
like t-shirts. Well, I mean, I'm wearing a t-shirt right now, but like I don't know. Like it was just like not my style. But I also think like low key, sucking dick can make you break out. You know what I'm saying? Like
Because you get like wet all over your mouth.
yeah, because you get wet and like, you know, oils
All
and like
over your face,
hair and
depending
like
on-
whatever. So I've been, my skincare routine, I'm like upping because I was breaking out here.
Yeah, see,
But-
I'm so glad I don't have to deal with any of that shit.
Mhm.
No, but this listener story relates to what we're talking about, kind of. This listener said, I love being single, but I want to get dick down like I'm in a relationship. Which, like, yeah, bitch, same. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly feel like that's the most relatable thing in the world. And that's on being a hoe. No, I'm just kidding. But I just feel like it's like, I feel like maybe you should do a situationship then, because I feel like they do dick you down like they're yours, but you're not really.
Yeah, see, I'm getting dick down really fucking good right now. So I'm like, yeah, like that's the other thing. Like when you go from a relationship to being single, it's like the consistent sex and then that's gone. Like when I'm single, I don't really give a fuck about sex as much because I'm like, I'm not used to it being consistent. But when you're in a relationship or you have a situationship, you're like used to fucking. So I'm horny like 24/7.
I know.
But yeah, a situationship, maybe that's the vibe. I don't know. I just have a problem with being loyal, even if we're not like completely committed and together. So,
Do you?
yes.
Okay, bitch. I feel like no, but I get it.
I mean, I don't want to talk to other people, like, you know.
Right, exactly. So I feel like I think you're so loyal as a person, like you might think things are like more fucked up than they really are. But I know what you're saying. Like it's hard, like for anyone, you're in that in between space. It's like part of you feels like you're like not like being your true self if you just let them kind of roll you around. It's like part of you is like, well, I want to have options if you're not going to commit to me.
No, I'm saying like I don't want to fuck anyone else because like I like being fucked by him. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, that's how I was with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this next poll we asked you guys was which version of you gets hit on more? And 44% said relationship me and single me was 56%. So it's pretty half and half. I personally feel like either if you're in a relationship or you're having good sex, there's a certain glow about you, and I think that attracts people. I don't think it's like you look better in a relationship, you look better when you're single. I think when you are in love and you're getting fucked, like I honestly think you like look hotter because you're like so happy.
Yeah.
And like single you is like kind of desperate sometimes. I don't know.
I'm screaming. You're kind of right though. It's actually funny because I was talking about this like the other day with the guy that I'm talking to, and we were talking about how guys always want like another guy's girl. And I feel like that is such a thing between guys because they're like competitive and shit. But girls do it too. It's just more with like a bitch you don't like. I mean, friends will do it to each other, but like that's kind of grimy.
I feel like I like my boyfriend's friends too. Like I'm like a guy in that way.
Yeah, that's a little different. Yeah, but they're not in relationships. They're single.
It's just a kink though. Yeah.
It's just a kink. But yeah, I think it's like when someone's in a relationship and you know that they're taken. Because I had a crush on a guy all through college that was in a fucking relationship, wanted him down. I don't know if I would have as much if he was single. But it's like, you know that you can't have them too.
Exactly.
So it's kind of that like kink of like, oh, and you know that they're like whether successful or not from the outside, it's like, oh, they can be a partner, like they're not just someone to fuck, like they can like maintain a relationship, so that's kind of attractive. Like
no, and honest to God, like especially growing up queer, like most like lesbians or queer girls I knew were dating someone. There was like no one single. Like I lived in like a small town, whatever, like you guys know the fucking drill. But one of my good friends got into a relationship with this girl that I had never looked at that girl in any type of sexual way. As soon as they started dating, I was like, fuck, I want to fuck her. Like I was like, because you're like seeing them in a relationship, and with lesbians it's like different. But after they broke up, I did end up fucking that girl, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, so I definitely think people that are in a relationship like get hit on more,
I think I might have voted for that too. I think I voted for single just because I'm outside. For me, I'm outside so much more when I'm single. So I feel like the chances of me getting hit on are so much more, and also because usually I would post my significant other, so like it's not like people were gonna slide in my Instagram DMs as much because like they see I'm in a relationship. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel that. Okay, well, let's move into some men's POV when it comes to all this shit. We're gonna watch 2 TikToks and we'll talk about it after.
Okay.
Damn. Hold on. Excuse me, how you doing? What's your name?
None of your business.
Damn, for real, I'm just trying to get to know you though.
No, I'm good.
Damn, that is crazy, bro. Hey, what's up, shorty? What's your name?
Ew, get out of here. I got a boyfriend. Ashy ass lips.
My lips ain't even that ashy. Trying to tell you, how you doing? What's your name?
Boy, you is too little.
I'm too little. Oh, yeah, I need this in a small. I ain't got this in a small. Oh, my hoodie? Oh, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Actually, it was a gift. It was a gift. Yep. So I appreciate that, right? Okay. You as well. Excuse me, do y'all have that in a size medium? I need that in a medium. My girl, Valentine's Day coming up, my girlfriend with that.
I wear a size small.
I'm pretty sure you do, but my girl wears a medium.
Oh, your girlfriend don't let you have friends?
I got a girlfriend. Where were y'all at 2 weeks ago when I was single? Where were y'all at? I was just single 2 weeks ago. I got a girlfriend.
Hey, how you doing over there, Redbone?
Bitch, you is ugly.
Well, damn.
So if you guys are listening audio again, I know you could hear it and everything, but basically it's like when men are single, bitches don't want anything to fucking do with them. And when they're in a relationship, bitches are like, daddy, and they're outside and they really want him. And I, honest to God, like, call me a fucking bad person, but like, I do think when guys are in a relationship, like, they're hot.
Yeah.
One, I know you're like, taking care of your woman. You
can
know how to
commit.
Even if you're flirting with me, which you
No, see, that'll turn me off. Like, go ahead.
Yeah, but I don't know. I definitely, like, even the few times I've spent in Atlanta, like, I was, like, in conversations with guys and, like, they said they had a girlfriend. And I was like, oh, like, you trying to break up tonight? Like, that's so fucked up. And, like, I wouldn't describe myself as a girl's girl because I don't like that word. But, like, yeah, I think it's just the kinky part of me. You guys can think I'm a bad person, I guess. It's fine.
I mean, if you don't know the bitch, guys, bad opinion, whatever. I would never hit on my, like, friend's man or anything like that. But, like, if you meet a guy out and he's flirting with you and he has a girlfriend, that's not your fucking problem. Right, that's not your problem. But anyway, I was going to say, I definitely agree. And I think it's also because, like, guys, if you listen loyally, I always talk about a quiet man and how they're so daddy. I feel like it's because when guys are in a relationship, they mind their fucking business. Like, they're not thirsty as fuck for you outside.
And that just makes me want them so
And that makes me want them so much more. So it's like, not necessarily like you could see a guy out like at the grocery store and he's kind of cute. If he's in a relationship, he's probably not going to like look at you OD. He's not going to talk to you. Maybe he'll catch a glance. But like he's going to mind his business. Obviously, that is so much sexier than your average dude that's just going to come over like, hey, what pasta are you looking at? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Looking down on them like the fuck.
Like what? Like bye. Like, but yeah, I definitely, that makes me like so nervous to like be in a relationship though, because so many bitches just hitting on your man.
Because bitches will be like, they'll see that glow off of him. Nah, don't even worry about that, baby. Don't manifest that. But this brings us right to our next poll. Are men indeed more attractive when they're in a relationship? I fully think yes. Y'all did not think so though. 67% said no, and 33% said yes. Either you guys are good people, you lied.
No, I think it's such a taboo to want someone's man or want someone's... It's not as much of a taboo for a guy to want someone's bitch. Let's be fucking for real. They're always like, oh, I'm gonna steal your bitch. Oh, if they're friends even, they'll be like, oh, like, da-da-da. Like, it's not as much of a taboo, but with girls, it's like girl code, da-da-da. Which, again, completely get. I would never try to fuck your man. I would never try to fuck my other girlfriend's man. I'm not even really the type of bitch where if I have beef with a bitch, I want to fuck her man, because usually the bitches I have beef with, their men are ugly. But you know what I'm saying? I feel like it is for girls. It's definitely, there's so much more like social pressure around that.
Yeah, and I know it's kind of like the homeboy thing too. It's like your homeboy hopping or whatever, but guys don't have an equivalent to that. Like they're just kind of like, that's just what they do.
Right.
But I know it's like Mr. Steal Your Girl. Like it's been around forever. Like it's a thing, like, but I know. I don't know. I think like sometimes maybe it's just fun to have like the different opinion of like the majority. But I don't know why. Like I do think people in general, like even women, like I think when they're in relationships, like they're hotter. I do.
I was going to say too, because I think with guys it's also a given, because like the guy, my ex that's like toxic and abusive or whatever, like his friends would DM me like all the time when we first met, and he would get mad at me for them DMing me, which I thought was like crazy. But I do think most other guys that I've talked to, like they kind of have the mindset of course their friends are gonna DM you, like, and it's your fault if you engage, but like they're never gonna address their homeboy about that as much. Like maybe like if they were like in person or something. But, like, the guys I fucked with, it's just kind of been, like, I don't know, it's been weird. But I feel like with girls, it's much more of a, like, no, like, you cannot talk to my man, like, whatever. It's just, like, an unwritten
Yeah, and guys don't blame their friends either, too, because it's like, oh, well, guys are, like, guys, but the girl, she must have been doing too much. She must have, like, seduced you so hard you couldn't say no.
Right.
And it's like, damn, you really make us sound so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, we're fucking, like, sirens, like, luring you in. I'm like, we both... Like, we know how to make decisions. Like, I don't understand. But let's transition into a little bit about losing your identity of relationships now that we've established, like, the polar opposites when it comes to men and women. So what does it mean to lose yourself? We're going to break that down first. This was from an article in the Elephant Journal in 2020. The article was written by Cassandra Michael. And she said, my definition of losing yourself is giving your power away daily. We give our power away by not honoring our wants and needs, by not having firm boundaries, by not following our joy within the relationship. Essentially by adapting to what we think the other person wants us to be. And bitch, I always adapt to what I think the other person wants me to be. Every single time. Even with my last ex, I'm like, am I going to be Christian now? Like, I just, like, take that on. I'm like, I need us to work. Like, our values have to align. Like, blah, blah, blah. And that's another reason why I'm single. But it's like, yeah, I do that hard as fuck.
And I feel like that's, like, something, the way women are socialized. Because I'm reading that book now, How Do I Get Through to You by Terry something. That a bunch of quotes were in the Bell Hooks book. Watch our Emotionally Available Men to Sprinkle Pipeline episode. And we're going to talk about the book later again. But one of the things he talks about a lot in relationships is how, like, women silence themselves. Like, they don't speak up. And that's, like, one of the biggest issues in relationships because, like, they're just letting things happen and they're just, like, being too agreeable. And it's kind of, like, crumbling your relationship because if you don't say anything, men, if you're in a relationship with a heterosexual man, they're very straightforward. Like, you need to be, like, very direct. They're not going to pick up on fucking signals. So it's like, I do think that's a thing where it's just like how we're socialized. We just feel like we have to people please and like be like, yes, and I'm going to shape myself to be like you. But like, that hurts yourself and also like the relationship because you can't have a healthy relationship if you're like compromising who you are.
Yeah. And I know it's a me thing too because like I said, like I've been in open relationships. I've been in monogamous. I've been with men. I've been with women. It always fucking happens. Doesn't matter what the dynamic is. I always do it. And again, sometimes it's like, okay, they taught me like cool things about myself and brought it out. But I've definitely like when I first started dating my ex-boyfriend, I was like, I'm going to start doing like laser hair removal on my pussy to be like a porn star for him. Now looking back, like I still shave, but I wish I didn't do that because now it's like my hair is like forever thinner. Like it like is barely on the sides anymore, bitch. It's like
I love that. I wax my
I know,
bald,
but I'm just like, if I ever want to bring that back, that era of when I used to do that, like now I'm like, I can't. But
I was gonna ask, like, do you think like in the relationships you were in with women, do you think they compromise themselves too?
Maybe, but I also think because I've been attracted to women with masculine energy, dominant personalities, not really. I don't think any of them really changed to fit like how I am.
So it's like a femmes thing more, I think. Like,
yeah, and maybe it's like girlfriend number 2, like the LA one, like originally, like I didn't, like, full disclosure, I didn't shave my armpits back then. Like I was wilding out, and I remember when we first met, she was a little like, why do you do that? Like, I think you're really hot, but like, what's going on?
But your other ex loved it.
Right. I was like, oh, this isn't like the vibe. I thought this is like what lesbians like love, like whatever. I loved it. But she, like, you know, learned to be okay with that. And I know that that's different, but that's, like, the biggest example I can think of. Like,
yeah,
I didn't full on change my personality, but I kind of do. Like,
yeah.
damn.
I mean, everyone makes, like, compromises in relationships, I feel like.
Yeah, like your armpits,
other...
like, okay.
Yeah, but, like, as far as, like, changing...
I don't do that now, guys. See?
Yeah, your armpits are bald. But, yeah, I don't think any of the guys... Actually, maybe no. My first, like, serious boyfriend when I was in college, the one that you met, yeah. I do think he changed himself significantly to be with me. Like, he was a lot more preppy, and not, like, the Gen Alpha term of preppy, like, the, like, actual preppy, like, Vineyard Vines, like, whatever.
Yeah, I think he would do it again today, too.
Yeah, I, like, wanted him to grow his hair out. Like, it was a thing. Like, his parents, like, didn't really like me that much because they thought I was, like, pushing him in a direction. He started playing guitar and singing. He was not very good. But, like, I was trying to get him to be more
like your brother
artsy.
Or something?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but like he was supposed to go to London with me. Like we were supposed to go together, through different programs, and we ended up breaking up because like he didn't want to go and like whatever. And like part of me, I'm like happy for him because he didn't like change himself or like whatever to do all that because like it was just never gonna make sense, you know. Like I was probably pushing him too much to change himself.
Right. No, that's real. I also feel like you were determined to like come to college and like reinvent yourself, like as was I. And unfortunately, it's like that's just such a hard time to keep a relationship. Like honestly,
it would have never worked
like,
out.
Impossible, in my opinion. Like if you both go to different schools, it's like I guess you can make it work. Like some people are high school sweethearts. I don't know. I just think it's crazy. But yeah, so all that to say, what it means to lose yourself, it's like you're not honoring yourself. You're, you know, maybe attaching yourself to their personality, their interests, and trying to really, like, take that on so you can, like, be together forever and, like, mesh really well.
Yeah.
And then, also that article added a sentence at the end of the article that I liked, and they were like, you can't lose yourself, but you can only give yourself away. And I think it's important to know that's, like, you're the agency of change that you need for that. Like, you're doing that. You're not. It's not just happening. Like you are making.
And
the
you
choices
can get it back. Because I will say, like when I was in my abusive relationship, like I completely lost myself. Like I was so afraid. Like me and Autumn tried to do this podcast. Like I tried to record in my closet. Like cute. I tried to keep it a secret. Like it was like I could not speak freely. Yeah, like I couldn't speak freely. Like none of that shit. And it's just so funny because, like, I think back, like, I was actually having a moment recently when I was, like, with the guy that I'm seeing now, and I was, like, thinking just back on, like, my former self and in that relationship, and I'm like, I can be so much more who I am now because, like, I took that time to be single, and I'm like, I'm never going to lose myself again, but it takes forever to, one, get yourself back, and then I feel like, you know, commit to continuing to be yourself in every other relationship because, you know.
And we've never even gone, like, too deep into it, and we're definitely not going to do it on the internet, but, like, I watched that happen for you, you know, and, like, you felt yourself losing yourself, but, like, I, like, saw it from a different perspective, and, like, it's really scary, like, especially with someone that, like, you really love, like, and it's just, like, but it also, like, it shows me, like, wow, like, this is actually a thing that can happen in relationships, like, this is not just, like, the healthy pamphlet you read, like, this is real shit, and I'm, like, watching it go down, and, like, I don't know what to do, like, it's... Yeah,
I think you handled it well. Like, I feel like that's a good point. Like, if you have a friend that you feel like is losing themselves in relationships, I feel like friends talk about all the time. Like, oh, like, I have a friend, but they got a boyfriend and they don't hang out with me anymore. Or, like, shit like that, like, is pretty common. But I feel like it's, like, unfortunately, like, if you're close enough, you could try to have conversations about it. And, like, you did with me, like, we did. But it comes a point where it's, like, that person has to figure it out on their own. And, like, it broke our friendship for a little bit, you know? But, like, at the same time, I wouldn't change it. Because I think it needed to happen, like, for both of us.
I know, because, yeah, it's like we were both so young, and I wasn't exactly, like, mentally healthy either.
Yeah,
like, I was
neither of
also,
us
like,
were.
all over like we were both like very like, so we didn't even really know how to have a conversation like that.
Yeah.
Now it's like I wouldn't even be nervous to talk to you and do that, but back then it was all just like so new. But yeah, so it's like it's definitely, I think it's great like to talk to your friend like after it's all gone down to like see, and like we've definitely talked about it, but it's just it's intense.
Yeah.
It makes me sad. Anyways, so this listener story that I thought related, I don't really agree with it. Still love you. I don't remember who it was, but they said, in a relationship, I give 110% of myself to please my partner, hoping they will do the same. No. I say no. I say you give 70% to yourself and 30 to those motherfuckers.
See, I don't know. Okay. It depends on how they're framing it, because I feel like when my partner needs me, like if they're going, like, say,
I mean, yeah, that's the 30.
like, it's on a day-to-day basis, if your partner's always in crisis, which my toxic ex was like always in crisis, and it was like I finally came to a point where it was like I could not keep stopping my life to go give 110% because there's nothing left for Fiji, you know. But like also like, I don't know, like, I feel like even in friendships, like, if you're having a really bad day, like, I could be having a busy day, whatever, but, like, you're so important to me that I would stop what I'm doing to be there for you, because I know that's something that doesn't happen all the time. So I believe in, like, giving 110% when it's, like, those moments that your partner really needs you, or, like, the times you need to show up. But that doesn't mean, like, constantly sacrifice, or, like, if you have a big fucking performance that day, or, like, I don't know, like, there's limits on that shit.
Yeah. And I think the reason, like, I feel this way and you feel this way, it's because, like, I feel like I've been with people that expected too much of me, and it made me want to do less in general.
Yeah.
Because I was like, fuck this. And I'm also, like, I think the reason that I say 70-30, it's like, that's why I'm single. I should be single, because I obviously feel like I need to give myself a lot, because I'm, like, not, you know?
Yeah.
But I do, yeah.
I think with the right person, like, they want you to be individually good. Like,
that's what I was gonna say.
I'm in a place right now where it's like I'm very happy, and like you know, I don't love my corporate job, but like there's certain things, like my ankle could be healed, like, you know what I'm saying. But like I love like the podcast, like I love my friends,
your
like
space.
My space, my dog. Like I'm very like happy and content with like where I'm at, so it's easier for me to like give to someone else. And also it's like I'm so solid and within what I'm in. I'm not in the space we were in college, where it's like I didn't know myself. I was like, you know, I was looking for happiness in someone else.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like that balance where it's like if I was with somebody, which I kind of am, like I want him to go to all the events that are going to grow his career. I'm not going to be mad for a boys' night. Like, I'm not going to be mad about any of that shit. If he can't text me for 2 days, like, okay, I'm cool, because I trust him. Like, you know, and he gives me the same grace. So it's like...
Yeah. And I feel like when you say that to maybe him or, like, other guys in the past, like, they don't take you seriously. I feel like guys think all bitches are going to say that.
Yeah.
And then you go an hour and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, where the fuck you
But honestly, like, I can confirm that that's real as fuck from you. Like, we've always been the type of friends where it's like, well, there was the other day you didn't answer me for like 24 hours, and I was like, is she mad? But aside from that, like, we're good. Like, we know how to handle that.
Yeah.
But I think I'm almost there. Like, I feel like with my job and like where I live, like everything is like good, but I just don't give that extra time to myself, to self-care, to like get a facial, to fucking do yoga. Like, I don't prioritize that, and so I need to prioritize that before I get into a relationship.
And I do think that, like, in a way, sometimes, like, relationships can, and that's the part that I like about relationships, and that's why I say, like, I like relationship me ideally, because, like, if I have a partner that's as motivated as me, or has, like, their own life going on or whatever, like, it motivates you as well. Just like me having you as a friend, I'm like, okay, you also work a 9 to 5, like whatever, we're both doing this podcast. Like on days that I don't want to do it or like whatever, I'm like, oh, I'm not alone and managing all this
like,
shit.
Autumn doesn't want to do it either.
Right. Like I can relate to someone, and like you motivate me. I'm like, I see you doing good in your career. I'm like, okay, good. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's the same when you have like a partner. Because they should really be like a friend. Like they should be like a good friend.
You motivated the fuck out of me when you got your condo. I was like, damn, this bitch is really working and she's saving. Like I was like, yeah. So I feel that 100%.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's this difference between losing your identity in a relationship and then like giving 100%, giving your all, being there for that other person. So it's like I want to distinguish those two.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like giving 110% in relationships. Like, I feel like everyone says that. Everyone wants that. And it's like that you can do that without losing yourself and not honoring yourself and prioritizing your needs at the same time. So I think it gets twisted where people are like, I want everything. I want them to be there for me 24/7. But it's like you can be there but not like lose yourself in the process.
Yeah, it's like knowing when to, and it's like giving like 110% of like your energy and your attention when it's necessary, but not like in place of like the other shit you need to do for yourself.
Right, exactly. And I just want us to like all understand that as a collective, because I honestly think it's so dangerous to really lose yourself in a relationship. And depending on the toxicity level, it's like it actually is very dangerous.
Yeah.
And like some people, depending on how long it was, like it takes a long time to find yourself
Yeah.
again. You come out of something toxic and you lost yourself in a 7-year relationship. Like that's life altering to have to be single. And I mean, even if it wasn't 7 years, but you know what I mean.
I mean, for me, it was like 3.5, and like I moved to a whole different city. I didn't know anybody here. So like when we broke up, and I feel like I have this like cycle of like when I get out of relationships, like just going out and like partying and like doing all of that. And I feel like in some ways it's good because you need to like let loose, be free. You were so not yourself, like whatever. But like that's also kind of a scary thing because you're not coping in the best way. So like, yeah, it's definitely a process to find yourself again.
I definitely do that too. I get it.
Yeah.
Especially in college.
Yeah.
It was just so accessible back then. Like
Right.
it was so easy. The club's like right down the street. Like I don't know. Okay, so we asked you guys if this has ever happened to you. So the poll is, have you ever felt like you lost your sense of self while in a romantic relationship? 83% said yes and 17% said no. And it doesn't surprise me. We all have gone through this. It's a part of like growing up and like learning how to love and be loved and be in relationships. So it's not like you should feel bad if it's happened to you, but it's almost like if it has happened to you, just like really like don't let it happen again. Like you know what it's like now. Sometimes you do kind of have to go through that to figure it out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a canonical event or a canon event, like how it was trending on TikTok. It's like I feel like everyone has to low-key do that once unless you were raised by parents that were like so great about teaching you about relationships. But even still then, like
No, not even.
Like not even, because it's like even with like the media and just your first time being in love, your first time being fucked good as fuck, like I lose my mind when I get fucked good, like just dickmatized, just like in fucking La La Land. So it's like, yeah, and just the way women are socialized, like whole different thing.
Especially if you're queer too, like your first love and your first like queer love, living yourself, like woo, it's really hard not to fucking absolutely change your identity like I did.
Because
like,
you
think
are.
About me before and after is crazy.
Because you kind of are, like when you're coming out and you're like with someone for the first time, like publicly or not, it's like you have to kind of like change your identity as you were before, because like maybe you were like hiding those parts of yourself, or you saw yourself as heterosexual. So like you are in a way coming into a new identity anyway. Right. And then add a relationship to that and it's like you might get confused.
Right. And it's so crazy because it's like thinking you only like guys and then realizing you like girls, and it's like you don't have to deal with like all of that societal pressure as much, at least in my experience. Like with guys, it was always just like, oh, like I'm so scared I have to please them. And with women, it's a little bit more chill. That's why I felt fucking comfortable enough to grow out my armpit hair. Like no guy has ever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like damn. But okay, this next article we're going to talk about is essentially like, is it normal to lose yourself in relationship? Like, I know that we think it is. We're saying it's almost like a rite of passage. But this article says, within a relationship, there's an innate desire to feel loved and accepted. So we often give up parts of ourselves in order to achieve that acceptance or to maintain harmony. Unless you're conscious of maintaining a separate sense of self, this tendency will cause you to lose yourself. So it's like you have to be conscious about it. Like,
Yeah.
I need to remain true to who I am. And I think that's why a lot of people like do so much work on themselves before they get into relationships. So their sense of self is like so fucking secure that shit can't be rocked with like the next fired dick and like whatever.
Yeah, and it's also important to go through it before, because if you've been through it before, you kind of recognize the signs. And also like therapy and having friends around, like we talked about, like you watched me go through it, and we were so young at the time that like I don't even know if you like completely realized it was happening. I didn't really, like, until it was like almost too late. But it's like if you've been through it and like now as we're adults, like I feel like I would be able to recognize, like, I mean, even I have, like when you were like talking to certain people and I'm like, okay, like I'm noticing like behaviors are different, or you're not as happy all the time, or like whatever. And like there's a way to approach that conversation. Or like if you yourself like are seeing someone, like maybe ask your friend like, hey, like can you just like pay attention to like, am I being normal?
And I think there's also this thing is like sometimes we think our friends are like invincible. Like you meet certain people and it's like I felt like I was like weaker than you. So I was like, there's no, you know,
Really?
like it's a weird thing. Yes, bitch.
I always felt like you were so much more like confident and like outspoken and all of that than me.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between like me being confident and me just like not being able to like hide. Like how but I get it. And that's what I'm saying though. Of course we both look at each other like that.
Right.
Because we love each other and we think we're cool. Like, so that's why it's kind of hard. But yeah, I didn't really notice it was happening for you until it was a little bit too late. I mean, I thought we were definitely like walking on the wild side. I knew it wasn't perfect.
But I also was not in a place to listen to you or want that advice either. Like I would go to you for advice when things were happening or whatever. But if you told me like, hey, Fiji, like, I really think you should leave this, which you probably did. Like, or like, I noticed how this is affecting you, I wouldn't have listened. But I feel like now, I like, still, I'm not gonna like completely let other people's opinions sway, like whatever. But like, I have a therapist, like I have you, like, I feel like I know what I want, and I would listen to people outside of myself and like be conscious of it a little bit more.
You're probably a little bit scared too, because you think about it last time, like, oh, so many people tried to tell me, but it's like, that's just it. Like, it doesn't really matter. And I think like it helped, like us, you know, I think it helped, but it's like at the end of the day, reading more in the article, as psychologist and author of Passionate Marriage, David Snarch, PhD, explains, the problem is that we become emotional Siamese twins fused at the hip through our dependence on our partner's validation. But this losing yourself is far from a personal failing. It's part of the innate mechanics of relationships, which are designed to help us grow as individuals. Many relationship problems, quote unquote, are really the unrecognized natural growth process of emotionally committed relationships. In other words, losing yourself in a relationship is almost an inevitable process. And in the beginning of the most and can be the beginning of the most empowering personal development journey you're ever likely to go on.
Wow. So that's like a completely opposite take, I feel like, than a lot of what we've been saying. But at the same time... But
we also kind of said that you do need to go through it in order to grow. They're saying it's inevitable. Like,
but they're saying it's inevitable in any relationship. And I think that's also like... Because it's like, if you're getting into a healthy relationship, are you going to lose yourself? Like, I guess you're going to become different. You're going to grow. But are they saying that growing is losing yourself? Like, what is yourself then? Not to get like super...
I think it's like, because you're losing yourself, you're about to embark on this journey of like self-discovery. And that's what we were saying. Like, you have to lose yourself to know what that's like and then never let that happen again. But they're definitely having like a positive take on it for sure.
But they're saying like it's an unrecognized growth process of emotionally committed relationships. In other words, losing yourself is an inevitable process, like in all relationships. But I guess like that's kind of like, I guess that's kind of true, because like, you know how they talk about like loving people as like a selfless act, like it's an act of like service and all of that. which I feel like is like a balance, and a lot of that I think comes from like Christianity and like giving yourself up for God, or like, you know, martyrdom and like all of that stuff. But I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I completely like agree with all of that.
I don't know if I do either. I don't know either. And Mr., you know, David Snarch, passionate marriage book author, again, I don't know. I think it's a very positive take on the situation. I think maybe it does reign some truth, but it's definitely, it could be a reach for sure. But ultimately, I feel like we agree that like it is normal for this to happen.
Yeah, I feel like changing parts of your ideas, or like, you know, opening yourself up and like reconsidering your identity and like your place in the world and all of that, but like losing yourself is where I'm like,
that's not inevitable.
Yeah, because I feel like you can grow with this person and become a better version of yourself, but it should still be a true like core to who you are, and you're like growing and building on that. And like maybe I just look at it weird because like I've been like, you know, like literally lost myself in relationships. So it's like I don't like the term lose yourself is inevitable. Like I don't think that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see both sides of it. I honestly do. I see both sides of it, and I also think perspective is everything. And like, I think some people might think of identity loss in a relationship as a like, oh, you started wearing this outfit more. Right. But for you, it's like completely stripped down your values, everything. Like that's fucking real.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, bitch.
Yeah.
That makes sense. We watched this YouTube video. It's called "Are You Losing Your Identity in Your Relationship" by Coach Uzma, and the channel is called Educate to Elevate, which I thought was kind of fucking fly.
Shout out.
But yeah, so we watched that video, and essentially it's like these are kind of some identity loss signs that it's happening. And it may seem obvious, but I still think it's important for us to identify them. So, your hobbies start to fade out. Your friendships fade out. You can't remember the last time you were alone because you're so codependent. Your future decisions about your life completely revolve around them. You become a control freak in the relationship, whether it's about activities you're doing, when they text you back, what your summer plans are, whatever. Mm-hmm. You kind of fantasize about being single because it's like a lot of what you're dealing with. And then it becomes unclear whether you're doing things for you or if it's for the other person. And that should never become wishy-washy in your brain. So I thought these were all just like really solid examples, and like emphasis on the friendships fading out, because I think that a lot of like, especially if it's a really toxic person you're in a relationship with, they do kind of manipulate you to not be with your friends. They say like, oh, your friends are bad for you, or like they're crazy. And like, I know that happened for you a little bit. And it's like, you love this person so much, you're in this relationship bubble with them. It's like, why wouldn't you kind of believe them a little bit, you know?
Yeah, and you isolate yourself. Like, I think it's interesting because it's like, for me, it wasn't all of these. Like, not completely with the hobbies, and I definitely spent a lot of time alone because like the relationship was so toxic. Like he would be like out, like there were like these weird periods of like us living together where he would go like disappear for a period of time and come back. But I was constantly on edge about like where he was and what he was doing, so like I wouldn't leave the house. But like during that time, I feel like the beauty in like as much of that relationship as was toxic, like I did spend a lot of time like alone, and I read a lot, and I watched a lot of like YouTube videos. So I think it is like important to know like you don't have to have all these things for it to be like you're losing yourself. Like in mine, I was completely isolated from like friends and other relationships and social interaction, but I did spend a lot of time like by myself, and I think planning on the future, like fantasizing about yourself being single was huge. Like I had a whole plan, guys, to like move to LA with Autumn. Like I was like trying to figure things out. So it's like you definitely, but I was also like completely like revolving all of my future decisions around him. Like everything I did, like my money, like everything was around like if he was going to be locked up, if he had a job, if he didn't, like everything, like down to like when I took the dog out was like around his schedule. So like, yeah.
And it was like, it's like he was a child you were taking care of. It's like it becomes so like intense and like the attachment you have to that person. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's really fucking scary, y'all. And I think it's so real. Like, you definitely don't need to have all of these things. It's like even just one of them, that's a red flag. Like,
Yeah.
when you're in a relationship, you should keep the things that you like in your life. They should add to your life, not like transform it. You know?
Yeah, especially if it's something that, like, if you notice something that you really loved at a time and you saw in your future is, like, going away, like, that's something to pay attention to. Like, if it's like,
Right.
oh, like, you used to wear fucking this type of shoes and now you're wearing these because they put you on, like, that's okay. But, like, if you're realizing, like, oh, I used to always love to work at coffee shops and now I don't because, like, my partner doesn't want me to be outside, like, that's a
Right.
fucking red flag.
Yeah. I remember when my ex-boyfriend, like, I was wearing a skirt and he told me it was, like, weird, never wore it again. Like,
Yes,
it's just, like,
that shit
I
too.
liked the skirt.
Yeah, no, fashion with my ex was a whole thing. Like, he didn't
Whole
like,
thing.
like my, like, edgy style, like, shit like this. Yeah, no.
And, like, being, like, dressing, like, when, like, a
Provocatively.
lot of skin showing.
Mm-hmm.
Provocatively, yeah. We also watched this other YouTube video by Alicia Gogen, and it was the same thing. Like, what are these signs that we're seeing? And what she had to say was, like, you're obsessing over them. You're overthinking. You're not taking care of yourself. You're putting them first. And it's also, like, you're in a scarcity mindset, which I had never, like, heard of that before. But it's, like, people with a scarcity mindset often have a fear of losing what they have. This could be because of early childhood things, attachment theory, etc. So it's, like, you're constantly feeling like they're going to leave. So you're, like, in that mindset, and that's why you're, like, doing all these things to prevent that from happening, even if it means sacrificing your own identity.
See, it's so funny because, like, the scarcity mindset shit is something that I've been on for a while because, like, I've always went into meditation. Like, it's, like, abundance. Like, don't have a scarcity mindset, whatever. But, like, I took it, like, way too far in the opposite direction when I was in my toxic relationship because, like, I knew I was having scarcity mindset about our relationship, but I would, like, convince myself, oh, there is an abundance of love. This relationship can provide me an abundance of love. So, like, almost did it backwards. Where it was, like, making me stay in the relationship. But, like, I definitely think, like, especially if you've been in something like that before, like, those behaviors, like, don't go away. Like, I still feel like in new, like, relationships, I'll catch myself, like, overthinking or being like, oh, I need to, like, rearrange myself, like, how I did in my last relationship. And it's, like, it's so important to, like, check yourself and be like, oh, my God, like, I'm not in a scarcity-ass fucking relationship anymore. Like, I don't have to do that, you know?
And it's a trauma response.
Yeah.
For sure. Because it's, like, that was your reality for so long. And it's, like, you think that you, like, forget that there's people out there that aren't going to do that to you and aren't going to make you feel like that. So, I know, guys. Ugh. I didn't even think this episode was going to be so depressing, but it really is, like, losing yourself. Honestly, I think it's one of my, like, biggest fears, too, like, having it had happened so many times. And that's why I probably don't want to date either. Like, you really have to be so secure and love yourself before you date. Like, I'm tired. Like,
yeah, because I feel like there's never a perfect time to get in a relationship. Like, you're never gonna reach, like, this amazing place of being so
like,
confident, so da-da-da. But, like, I do think, like, these are things to pay attention to, whether you're in a relationship or not. Like, feeling secure and being happy with yourself, like, all of that.
Yeah. And sometimes you and your partner can work on that shit together.
Right.
Sometimes. It depends, but sometimes it can definitely work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get into some Reddit stories. Some people that have experienced this and just went to the internet to vent about it.
Okay, this person said, I have become completely dependent on my significant other for happiness, love, enjoyment, and many other things. I truly only have fun with him. My friends all stopped calling me and looking for me, and after some thought, I came to the realization that they don't really care about me. They don't hit me up or anything, and they never returned me the favor of being there for me. Never in my life have I been deeply cared and loved for. I have been a victim of prolonged abuse, and this affected me deeply. So, with this in mind, when my partner gave me love, appreciation, and kindness, I melted into his arms. I would throw whatever I'm doing to hang out with my partner. I would talk for hours with them, and I feel like my life has no meaning without him. This came at a cost because I don't enjoy doing my hobbies now. I don't see a point in contacting friends who never took me seriously and were never there for me, never were there for me when I always was. And most importantly, I don't know my self-worth. How do I navigate through this?
I feel like this is a common thing, especially this person talked about having like prolonged abuse as like a child and stuff. It's like you are going to kind of jump at that person that finally gives you the love that you've always been working for. But exactly, them saying this came at a cost because I don't enjoy doing my hobbies anymore. It's like, love shouldn't come at a cost like that. Like, love can be sacrificed for sure in a lot of ways, but like that specifically, that's a red flag no matter how healthy this person is, how much they love you. Like, there's such thing as being loved too much as well. Like, that's a real ass thing. And the shit with her friends, or their friends, I don't know, like, I'm a little confused about. Do her friends just suck? Or like, are you so wrapped up in your relationship, they were kind of done with you because they're like, you're never around?
Yeah, because I'm like, one, like, the good thing is, like, the first step in this is, like, recognizing it. And I feel like this person is, like, recognizing it enough to post on Reddit and, like, they're thinking about it actively. So it's, like, they want to, like, do something about it. But I would say, like, if someone's in this situation, like, the first step would be to, like, try to talk to your partner about it. Because, like, this seems like it's a healthy relationship. Like, this person has provided you with so much love that you've never had before, and you're realizing that this isn't, like, them being toxic. This is, like, you and, like, how much you're giving of yourself, like, willingly. So it's, like, if you're doing that, I would talk to them and be like, hey, look, like, I love you so much, but I'm realizing that, like, my, like, impulse is to just give all to you, and I need to give more to myself, and, like, can we, like, talk about what that looks like? And I feel like whenever you're doing an adjustment from, like, the honeymoon phase to, like, being more independent, there's gonna be, like, bumps, and it's gonna be, like, awkward and kind of, like, iffy, but it's so necessary. And if the relationship's healthy, like,
and it's like, I don't think she necessarily, like what you're saying, like, I don't think she necessarily has to break up with him.
Right.
That's exactly right. Like, have a conversation and be like, this is where I'm at, and, like, depending on his reaction, you go from there. But it's like, you know, it's like, and if your partner, like, cares about you genuinely, if you come to them and are like, I just feel like I'm so wrapped up in this relationship, like, I don't even do the things I like to do anymore. It's like, they're going to be like, okay, well, we need to fix that immediately.
Right.
Because also it's like, that's not sustainable. That's not a sustainable relationship. Eventually you're going to, like, resent that person. So.
And also, like, be understanding if they don't completely get it, because it's like, if you came into this relationship and, like, immediately kind of put your whole self aside to be with this person, they don't know another you besides, like, that version of yourself giving everything. So there's going to be, like, a learning curve, because they're going to be like, what do you mean? Like, are you not happy? Like, is it me? Like, what's going on? But, like, I think it's important to, like, you know, just explain where you're coming from and, like, be willing to do that with them. But, like, it is scary, because especially if you have such abandonment wounds, like it seems like this person does, like, and I would reach out to your friends. Like, I don't know, like, it's kind of vague when they say, like, my friend stopped calling, but, like, maybe they stopped calling because you never answered or you never hung out with them. Like, people can only do so much. Like, when I was going through this shit with Autumn, like, you can only do so much. Like, you're not going to keep trying when it's, like, difficult. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't put that completely on them. Maybe they're bad friends, but, like, you can make new ones, too.
Yeah. You still wanted me around, though. Because I feel like I've been, like, literally in middle school, like, my friend was in an abusive relationship. Like, same situation. We stopped being friends, but she told me, like, I can't be your friend anymore. Like, my boyfriend doesn't like you.
And
you
I think I think
wanted me there.
No, but I think I, like, tweaked out on you, and I blocked you. So it wasn't like he was like, no, but I knew that it was taxing on you, and I didn't want to keep putting you through that, and I knew that it was, like, not, like, a healthy friendship. Like, I felt like I was taking a lot from you. So I felt like I, like, wanted to end it anyway because, you know.
Yeah. It's hard because we were codependent when you
We
went
were
into
codependent, too.
That was the first problem. Like, we were, I don't think it was, like, the worst. I think you and I both were kind of, like, we finally found a friend that, like, accepts all of me and, like, doesn't judge me for doing the crazy shit, which is, like, really hard to fucking find. So, yeah, it's a whole mess. But honestly, guys, like, true friendship, like, you will find your way back to each other. Like, we did, like, the girl in middle school, we're still friends now. Like, it does, if you're meant to be, you'll find your way back.
Yeah, because you give each other grace. Yeah, because
it's
like unconditional love. Like, you understand, like, you can put yourself in my shoes, I can put myself in your shoes. Like, and I think with your partner, like, I don't know about your friends, it's kind of vague, but like with him, I think she said him, like it seems like they would understand. And even if that means like time away or like taking a pause, like it doesn't mean it's over forever. I know it's like easy to think that when you've been through abuse and you have abandonment wounds, but like test it out in slow movements, like 1 day a week, give to yourself like completely, and then 2 days a week, like, you know.
Last thing I'll say about it too is like we always think of like losing yourself in a relationship, like you're with a toxic person, the relationship's toxic, but it's like this is almost an example if we're receiving it right, where it's like, you know, not like it's her fault, but it's like this is because of her stuff, like her attachment theory. And I think like even with my first girlfriend, like she was healthy, like she was very fucking healthy, one of my healthiest relationships. And I still lost my identity. It doesn't always need to be because, like, the relationship's toxic. Like,
right.
And that's
well,
real,
yeah,
like,
you could be the problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's sometimes you gotta look in the mirror. Like, am I the issue?
It was me. It definitely was me back then. Like, she was not telling me to like dress like her and like be super edgy and not give a fuck. Like, I was like, oh, like, you look really hot doing that. So, like, I'm going to try to do that.
I mean, there were some other issues there eventually and stuff like that.
Yeah,
too, but like,
Nothing's perfect, guys. All right, so let's read one more Reddit post. This person said, my boyfriend is great. He's funny, caring, loyal, honest, all of the things you'd want in a boyfriend, honestly. We've been together for over 2 years and somehow managed to never have an argument in this time. Yet here I am complaining. My problem is that I don't know who I am. I feel like I'm so invested in being the perfect girlfriend, making him happy, and being liked by the people in his life that I don't know if I'm really allowing myself to be my own person. I feel like low self-esteem might be playing a huge part in this. Like, being his girlfriend is something that I have going for me. I work, I'm a student, I play music, I do have other things going on in my life. But it's like I have all of this energy focused on us that I feel like I've lost myself. Our relationship progressed very quickly with us being head over heels in no time. So I guess I developed the habits that have led me to feel this way quite early. I find it hard not to think about him when I'm doing other things. Like our relationship has almost taken over my life in a way. Maybe I'm complaining about nothing here, but I feel like that isn't the healthiest mindset. I don't know how to snap out of this while staying in the relationship as I'm bad at breaking habits. Woo, feel you, girl. Has anyone else had this problem? Did you end the relationship or fix it while staying together? Okay, first red flag I caught. Never had a fight? Never had a disagreement?
yeah, that's kind of crazy.
That's not good. I mean, some people like.
It doesn't have to be a fight, but a disagreement or like feelings were hurt or something. Like I feel like there has to be, and maybe that's like this girl seems like a perfectionist, like OD. It's just giving that to me, and even the way she was like second guessing herself, like girl, you're second guessing yourself too much. Like if you feel in your body, in your brain, that there is something bothering you a little bit, trust that. Like, you don't need to be like, maybe I'm complaining, maybe I'm overthinking.
I'm like, I don't think you're complaining. I think, again, you're giving an example of something that's not necessarily a toxic relationship, but you yourself are really taking over this identity as a girlfriend. And I think a lot of women do that. It's like, I just want to be so-and-so's girlfriend, not even necessarily myself. It's like, that's the best thing I have. Or it's subconscious,
because I think I've done it a lot subconsciously. Because single, I'm like, feminist, I don't give a fuck, whatever. But like subconsciously, feminist. I start acting like my mom and my nana and like whatever, and just like do the role of what I think a woman's supposed to do in relationships. And that kind of seems like this girl, because she seems like it's, I don't know, because...
And again, the perfectionist energy, she's like, she wants to be the perfect girlfriend, liked by everyone in his life. And it's like, it's enough pressure to be in a relationship, period. Like, trying to be perfect is just exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to be perfect in the relationship. If the relationship's that perfect, you never fight, like, that's concerning to me. Not that I want to fight, not that I think you should fight on the second date, but how long they've been together for 2 years and have never argued. You can have respectful disagreements.
I mean, maybe they do. She just doesn't consider that an argument because, like honestly, like like me and the guy that I'm seeing now, like we've gotten to what I would call arguments, but I'm a much more like, because we've like argued before, like when I'm arguing, like I get pretty like heated or like whatever, but he's always like, we're not arguing right now, we're just disagreeing. And I'm like, okay,
well, it's good that he can handle it,
like it's
because imagine you had a pussy ass bitch like me, like I'd be crying
no,
all the
but
time.
I would say I'm not as like, I feel like I'm a little different, definitely.
No, I don't like dude, I honestly, especially in our like friendship past, when we had a break, I don't feel like you've ever been mean to me. I think you honestly stay away from me when you want to be mean.
Yeah.
Which is so nice, babe. Like
I think you do too. I don't think you've been mean either. I think you could be passive aggressive, but I think I can too.
Yeah, I know. And then when you call me out, I get pissed.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck you clock me like that, bitch?
I can just feel it through text because
I just woke up. Like, I'm tired.
I'm dead. But maybe they do like disagree. Maybe she's just like not calling it an argument, or with her perfectionist mentality, she's not even like wants to go there, like won't let it. Yeah, but I would again. It's like the same as the last person. I almost feel like if your relationship is this healthy and you're recognizing it in yourself, like don't be afraid to bring that up to your partner.
Right.
You know?
Because she didn't really talk about how he felt. Like, is he good? Is he doing his hobbies? Like, I don't know. Like, it's like she didn't mention, like, he's making me like this.
Right.
It's very much coming from her. So with that in mind, I say go talk to your partner.
But I will say, because
ahead.
I throughout my toxic relationship, I always knew it was toxic. I was not completely delusional. I knew it was abusive. Like, it was physically abusive, all of those things. The physical abuse was like the definite sign where I was like, okay.
Blatant.
Yeah, but I do have a tendency, because I think I can be a perfectionist as well. And like, I'll have a tendency to like hyper analyze my own behavior and like put it on myself instead of the other person. So like maybe they are pressuring me, or maybe something else, there's a different dynamic going on, but like I'm like, I can only control myself, so like I'll only focus on myself. And I'm not, so like, I don't want to project and say that, but I do think that's something to consider. Like, if you're just over analyzing, like, oh, maybe I'm insane, like, like, it could be your partner as well. And that's even more so, like, if you think it's healthy, like, you should talk to them about it, because I haven't always, and like,
Yeah. Part of it's tricky because it's like being self-aware is a good thing. And maybe sometimes you're right about what you're doing, but I think the majority of times you're only thinking of that because how this other person is, maybe you feel like they're viewing you.
Yeah.
So you kind of like cater to that and like try to not really do that. Like, we've had this conversation so many times.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's maybe something I don't have a problem with. Like,
Lucky.
I don't think I've ever really experienced that.
Yeah,
I know. So, I mean, but I think it's wishy-washy because I do think it's good to be like, I'm the only one that can control, like, I can only control me. That part's good.
Yeah.
But you need to find that happy medium.
But yeah, you can only control you, but like also recognize that you can only control you, but you can also control your behaviors in the relationship. Like, I'll try to control and micromanage my emotions about things, but not what I do and not the communication that I have. And I feel like this is a situation where it's like you need to communicate with your partner.
Yeah, totally. And kind of going off of all this, I don't remember what it was, a TikTok article, something, but it like inspired this like question in me. And I'm like, so women have a maternal instinct, whether they want to be mothers, can be mothers, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
And to take care of other people, be nurturers. That's what we're taught we're supposed to do. So it's like some people really take that on. Maybe to a level we're like born with that want. Some of us, I don't know. So it's like they don't want to hurt people's feelings. Women are people pleasers. Does this contribute to why we're so susceptible? Did I say that word right?
Susceptible.
Thank you. To losing ourselves in relationships. Because it's like, I tried to find a story of a guy talking about this. I couldn't find one. I'm sure it exists. I'm sure it's out there.
I do think like my first boyfriend in college, I do think that was a situation he was losing himself with trying to be. But I'm just like, but it's less.
Is it more for women because we have that mentality? You know,
I definitely think so. And like, I've always like, I never wanted to be a housewife. I never considered myself maternal. Like, even with my dog, like, guys, Autumn is so good with her dog. Like, you're just so nurturing. Like, I think think it's beautiful. But, like, you're so nurturing, like, you want to, like, make him comfortable, like, happy, like, oh, like, whatever. Like, for me, it's waves and moments, and it very much depends on my mood with my dog. But I will say in relationships, and I feel like it's, like, the way we're socialized and also watching, like, our caregivers. Because all the women, and I, like, always despised it growing up, but I watch myself when I get in relationships, I'm, like, constantly anticipating their needs. Like, are they hungry? Like, are they stressed? Like, do I need to shut up because, like, they're focused right now? Like, all of that kind of thing. So I do think it's a thing.
Yeah, because I think not to the same extent, but you do that with friends and people in your life, too. Like, you're always trying to make sure people feel comfortable, even if they're ripping holes.
Yeah, even if I'm dying.
Like, are you guys okay?
Yeah.
Did you get hurt?
I just, like, go into my happy place in my brain, and I'm like,
but you've gotten so much better.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, in this context and, like, thinking about. So it's just, like, yeah. Okay, should we just move on? Ready?
I think,
Do you have something to say?
We can, like, wrap it up. But, I mean... Okay, I'll wrap it up. I mean, I do think, like, it goes back to kind of that book that I was talking about earlier. Like, he talks about that a lot. Like, women are socialized to people please, and, like, women are too silent in relationships. And both of those last, like, Reddit stories, I feel like both women are, like, internally dealing with this, like, discomfort, this issue, but they're not, like, externalizing it or talking about it with their partner because they're people pleasing or they're trying to be perfect or they're being nurturing, maternal, whatever. So in the book that I'm reading, which I'll link in the description, and we have episodes coming up in the future that talk about it more, like his approach to therapy and those kind of issues in relationships is pretty much to empower the woman to speak more, and everything builds from there. So, like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And this kind of goes along with, you know, the Reddit stories as well. Someone just submitted, I feel like I have an insane codependency problem when I'm in a relationship, and I think it's just so relatable, and I hate to, like, always be like, it's our generation, but I do think, like, with having constant access to each other, like we always talk about, you can be codependent. You didn't used to be able to text bitches 24/7. Now it's like, in a lot of relationships don't, but it's like some do. Some people, like, have that, like, yeah, we are going to talk every single day. We are going to text back and forth, like. And so I'm like, is our generation more codependent than before? And I think in a way, yes. Yeah. I do think because there's added things that allow you to be more codependent. You know where they are. You see their Instagram story. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like the texting and the calling and the Instagram and, like, all of that shit, like 100%. Because, like, you can check if they've read your message. Like, you can check their activity. Like, on Twitter, you can see their likes. Like, there's so many ways to, like, surveil their behavior, and, like,
if they're online and didn't text you back,
right? And it's like, I don't know, like, our parents' generation and generations before that, like, I can't really think of my parents, like, texting each other. Like, I know, like, if one of my parents comes to Atlanta to visit me, like, they'll be like, oh, we have to send a picture to, like, the other family members. Like, that's definitely a thing, like a check-in. But it's like a check-in, like, I landed, like, I, like, whatever. It's very much that versus, like...
It's like a one-word text, landed,
yeah,
like my mom does.
Like, with a heart or whatever. Like, my dad, if he does a heart, that means I love you. Like, he's not typing it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, I'm very much against the text all day, whatever shit. Like, I'll text you every, like, 3 hours when I can, like, respond or I have the mental capacity. So... yeah.
I feel like I like to text all day in the honeymoon phase, and I think it's also, like, lesbians, like, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But overall, in a long-term relationship, hell no, we're not texting all day. But in the beginning, like, it is fun, especially if you're, like, sexting as much as I do. Like, you feel me?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's, like, it's a detriment for sure, but it's also, like, you know, there is positive sides to all the access that we have. I'm not trying to say that. But in this scope that we're talking about, it does allow codependence to fucking thrive. Okay, we asked you guys this next question. What do you think is the biggest reason people lose themselves in relationships? What a great question. Autumn. And this was, like, completely spread out. 36% said their attachment style. 30% said the relationship itself is toxic and unhealthy. 34% said they feel like they have to change to be loved. And now I feel like we've kind of understood that the relationship doesn't need to be toxic and unhealthy, but it definitely, that's, like, kind of almost a guarantee you're going to lose yourself a little bit if you're in an unhealthy relationship. That's what happens. But I think it's really the internal shit, and you feel like you have to change in order to fit this person's life, for them to love you. That's how it's been for me. That's definitely like, it's like when I wanted to get my pussy laser hair removal, like all of those things is because like I didn't feel like I was good enough how I was. Like I had to change certain things to make them love me more.
Yeah.
Which, like, looking back, it's definitely not true. Like, he didn't give a fuck if I got that shit lasered, but it was like internally I really felt like not only like he cared, but I was like, these are the bitches that I feel like he wants to be with, the ones that get like they have no hair anywhere.
Yeah.
So let me do that to make him want me more. So I feel like it's that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I might have voted for the toxic, unhealthy shit just because like that was my experience. But I also think that like toxic and unhealthy relationships are more rare, even though I feel like they're super prevalent in today's society with the codependency and like so many more ways to like manipulate someone or surveil someone or like all of those things. But I do think it's more like you feel like you have to change to be loved now. And also that kind of plays in with your attachment style if you are like anxiously attached and all of those things. Because I feel like even when I was in my toxic relationship and how I have this like bad habit of like hyper analyzing my own behavior and like ways that I need to like change myself to make this relationship work even when it is unhealthy, like whether the relationship was unhealthy or not, I feel like those behaviors still would have been there. You know what I'm saying? So like it's both, like two can be true at the same time. And
it amplified it.
It amplified it because it's like if you have someone who is toxic and abusive, like wanting you to change or wanting you to be a certain way, and then you're also so ready to people please and change yourself for the love of this person, it's just a fucking dumpster fire.
Real bad combo, bitch.
Yeah.
Real bad.
But it's
That's
like
so true.
I do think it's like, especially as women, like we feel like we need to change to be like loved more. I mean, I'm sure men feel it too, definitely, especially with like the like internalized toxic masculinity and stuff like that, where they can't show their like emotional side and everything like that. But like I do feel like a lot of men, they say like men are more successful when they're in relationships and like make more money, like go further in their career because they have a woman holding them down, versus like women, I think, you know, become more shells of themselves sometimes. So
and I also think like it's like men experience it too, but they're not gonna like jump to Reddit and let their heart out like a lot of women will. So that's why it's like a little bit harder to find. But like even like my ex, when he got with his new bitch that they're like married or whatever, like he cut all of his dreads off.
Yeah,
like, I'm pretty sure he's like full Christian now.
Well,
like he really was like,
and
I
even
he, like,
gay men too, because I'm thinking about that couple that we knew when we were in college. They became extremely codependent, the same person. And that's like, you know, like a stereotype with lesbian couples and gay male couples.
They look
that they
alike
like
too.
They look alike and they become the same person because they're sharing like clothes and like all those things. But like that was definitely, I feel like they kind of
but they also were super different because one of them was a little crazy and the other one was a little bit like,
it was giving a little toxic in certain areas
for sure. And we were so young too, but yeah, gay couple, like everyone experiences that shit. All that to say. So this same article from the Elephant Journal that we talked about right in the beginning, they have this section about why do we engage in these behaviors. So we've identified what they are. We've talked about a few reasons why we think, but this is what the article has to say. Why do we engage in these behaviors? Because we believe that we have to be different in order to be loved. I created these polls before I found this article, just so you know. The notion of sacrifice is probably embedded in our beliefs around love, and we might also believe that love is all about keeping the other person happy, even to our own detriment. We engage in people-pleasing because we derive our self-worth from keeping others happy. So fucking true. Like, even in work.
Yep.
We also tend to merge with our partners and start to wrongfully believe that their preferences are also our preferences, or that we don't mind because we're so easy. Again, this is a role we're playing, so it's critical that we get clear on our limiting beliefs and the roadmap we have created around love from our childhoods, like the attachment theory shit. Having the courage to be vulnerable and show our authentic selves will be paramount in our quest to never lose ourselves in a relationship again. But it is also the foundation of deep intimacy and connection. which is like when you don't lose yourself, when you're secure and you guys are doing things in a healthy way, it's like that's when the deep intimacy that we also crave can come alive and be present, because it's like the other shit, you know, it's deep intimacy in like a kind of a toxic way, which is not really deep intimacy, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's like, I mean, I know we talked a lot about how like women are socialized and like whatever, but I think a lot of it also does stem from childhood, like this article said, because like when you're growing up, like you're never, I feel like it's rare for kids to feel like that their parents love them completely for who they are. Like your parents always want you to get better grades or do this or like whatever, even if the love is unconditional. So like you're always
violin lessons,
right?
Bro. My mom was on me about
really?
that. Anyway,
violin?
I know it's a privileged ass thing to say, but yeah, she made me take violin for 4 years, like worst 4 years of my life. I hated it.
I never knew that about
All
you.
the losers would go to violin, and everyone else cool would go outside for recess.
You had it at your school?
Yeah.
See, I did that in Catholic school when I was in like 6th grade. I took Latin during recess with this crazy lady.
Yeah,
it
made
insane.
me feel like such a loser.
Yeah.
Everyone else was cool. They got to go outside. I was like in my nerdy little outfit going to violin class.
I feel like you'd be
Whatever.
such a cute violinist. It's low-key
Right,
very
now I'm
gay-coded to me. I
wish
know
I
why.
could tear it up. Of course, my mom, gay as fuck, is
Right.
like, yeah, you're going to do violin. Anyways, but I know, back to what you were saying, it was like our parents, like, expecting more of
Yeah,
us.
like there's, like I've always felt like with my family or parent, like you never like completely fit. Like you know that they love you because they have to take care of you, whatever. But there's always going to be these like parts of yourself or your identity that like were never enough, or that they wanted you to change, or like whatever. So you're bringing that's your concept of love, and you're bringing it into new relationships. And you know, we all know like we work through like childhood wounds and like our regular relationships. So I do think the like self-worth stuff for everybody.
I felt it so hard, especially from my dad. Like, honestly, like with my mom, like I can't say I felt it from her. Like, I felt like she really took the time to like always tell me that I was enough, and whenever I did, minus the violin shit, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just crazy how like our childhood experiences like influence like our love in the future. Like, it's all so just like so connected and stressful. But I feel like, you know, just this article saying that's like the quest to never lose yourself in a relationship again. Like, it is possible, and I think we can all get to that point. And I think the biggest thing is really just like taking the time to focus on yourself, like what I'm doing right now, and kind of you too. You're not like super committed right now, but you basically fucking are.
Yeah, and I'm in therapy though. I feel like therapy helps a lot in recognizing patterns and unlearning shit, because like you have to check in with someone every week where I'm at in my life, or this new relationship that I'm in, not in, whatever. And it's like, you know, you're realize like they're gonna remind you of patterns if you're not seeing them for yourself, and it's gonna make you think about them. So like, you know, I think like having that time to like reflect, because childhood wounds are gonna come up.
Right, for sure. Well, let's get into some advice. I did find this like kind of corny exercise, but I do want to.
I love an exercise.
Do it together
Yes.
as a community. And essentially the goal of the exercise is to kind of figure out like what limiting beliefs you have around love. So basically they said a crucial step in breaking this unhealthy relationship pattern is to identify the limiting beliefs that are fueling it. Some limiting beliefs around love that might ring true to you are: love is sacrifice, love has to be earned, the more I give, the more lovable I am, only by pleasing, satisfying the other, I am worthy of love, love is hard. They tell you to read each belief and tune in to see if it resonates. Right? Resonates. Fuck. Don't use your rational mind here, as many of these beliefs are subconscious and logically don't make any sense. Instead, connect with your body and notice if the belief rings true on a deeper level. I feel like the one that rings true for me on a deeper level is, I was like so confident in an answer, and now I'm second guess. Now I'm like thinking maybe it's something else. Do you know what rings true most for you?
I think there's two for me. I think love is sacrifice, and the more I give, the more lovable I am. Definitely ring true for
Yeah.
me.
Okay. Mine are only by pleasing, satisfying the other. I am worthy of love. Like being not the perfect girlfriend, like the perfectionist, but just by like, doing things for them and kind of like the identity shit, like being what they want me to be.
Yeah.
And then love is hard. I think just because like I grew up in like my parents divorced, like my mom was gay, like they got in several relationships. So I was always just like, they both like have been married like 3-4 times, like failed. So I definitely subconsciously is like, damn, it ain't gonna be easy. Like people that like their parents have been together their whole life, like you, like, and that's common. Like even people at my job, like that comes up a lot.
But see, I think love is hard, but for me, it doesn't hit in like a negative way. It hits in a like I know love is hard because I've seen my parents go through it. So I think, oh, love is hard, love is work, but I think of it as a positive thing versus you probably think of it as more of like one of those beliefs that's hindering you.
You have to like go through lots.
Yeah.
Because I watched like both my like they and I too, because I loved their girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever it was. I was like, damn, like it was always a girlfriend, but like I was like I loved them too. Like I was a very like I was lovable kid. Like I wanted to love other people. I wasn't like, oh, I have stepmoms, I hate them. I was like, no, they're my mommy too. And then they would leave. Like it was a lot. So yeah, okay. And then moving on, it says then logically reflect on each one and ask yourself, is this really love? Your answer will probably be no for all 5 beliefs. The unfortunate part, though, is that many of us have internalized these or similar limiting beliefs, thus attracting relationships that mirror them. Yes, the law of attraction works with limiting beliefs and child wounding too. Essentially, the way we are conditioned to behave as children in order to receive love or get our needs met will create our own personal blueprint of what love is. Like we were just saying, it's so crazy.
Yep.
Now, during our healing journey, it's up to us to redesign this blueprint and reprogram the beliefs that are holding us back. Which is kind of cool that it's up to us. Like we have the power, and this is all like reminding me very much of like shadow work, journaling, and like inner child healing, and it's like it's all so trendy and like hippy dippy, but this is real shit, and it can make your relationships better. And like a lot of people that have attachment style, like have anxious attachment and these attachment styles that hurt them in relationships, it's like they want love so bad, they're craving that deep intimacy, but they're not getting that. Like they can't get that until they like redesign their blueprint, like this is saying.
Yeah, like thinking through that's such a good exercise, because I wasn't even thinking of like these.
I thought it was corny a little.
It is
good,
corny,
right?
but it's good. I'm like, because some of them I don't even like. Love is sacrifice. Like I don't know. I mean, it must come from my childhood somewhere, but like I just think of like my relationship with my toxic ex, where I'm like I sacrificed so much, whatever. But I do think that that's one that I have like worked through and unlearned. Like it hits in that way of I'm like, oh, I really know that place, but I don't think I'm there anymore. So I do think it is like possible to like, and I think I attribute that completely to therapy. That's not anything I did journaling like alone. Like that's all through therapy. But like I need to get into journaling, bitch. I feel like that would be really good.
I know.
For me.
I go through waves. It's really nice when I'm on a path with it. But yeah, I mean, I wonder what you guys thought. Like definitely let us know like which one of those like resonated a lot for you, because I feel like they might all did, but for us, it's like only a few did. So I feel like it just depends on like where you're at, what you've been through. But I think it's like really powerful to like actually say those things out loud, because then you can kind of like feel it in your body, all of that.
Yes.
So definitely encourage you guys to do that exercise. We always like link the sources. You guys can do it. But yeah, I mean, we can share any more personal advice if we have anything, but I feel like we've covered a lot. I mean, I do think it's important to like end on a positive note. Like, yes, it's like really, there's a big scale of losing yourself in relationships, and it goes from bad to really bad. And I think it's all something we go through, but it's just remembering that like you're an agent of change. Like you can control things. Like you are in control, and it's like, yeah, you got to talk about this stuff with your partner, your friends, your therapist, all of that.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing like I learned from this relationship and advice is like talking to your partner, especially because I didn't even like really think about that going into this like episode. But it's like just because you feel like you're losing yourself doesn't mean the relationship is bad and you need to throw it out. Like I think that that's a big takeaway from this episode.
I think it's like we want to think think of things so black and white.
Yep.
And like, I think over the past years, I have thought that. I'm like, there's no way you, like, if it's unhealthy or you're like losing
It's
yourself,
them.
like, you gotta
Cut 'em
leave,
out.
you gotta go.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's always true, and I don't think anyone should be shamed for like staying and trying to work it out. And it's like, just see, like, if you communicate with them, you do everything you can, you guys try to work it out, and you're still struggling, maybe that's when you walk away.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any harm in trying.
Yeah, especially with
So,
healthy communication, all of that.
That changed for me too.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, so we're at the end of the episode, guys, and we're going to wrap it up as we always do, talking about what we're wet, dry, and still a little bit confused about the topic. So I will go first. I mean, we kind of just said it before, but I'm definitely wet about learning, you know, through these Reddit stories about these like healthy relationships and like how it can be like your own issues. And how we bring that into a relationship. I'm not wet about that, obviously, but wet about learning how to, like, fix that. I'm wet about my growth. I mean, we say this in every fucking episode, and, like, we cringe at ourselves every single time. But I definitely do feel like the place that I'm in is much more...
I mean, that's facts, though. Like, it is cringe, but it's low-key true. Like, honestly, this podcast has sparked major growth just because we're, like, more knowledgeable.
We're like journaling in real time to the public. Like we're doing
exercises.
Exactly. I'm like, bitch, like I really do think it helps me think about more like the relationships I want in my life, like who I am, like And I feel like I've been doing that a lot recently, but like I'm just like wet about myself, and like I really do feel confident that I'm not going to lose myself in any relationship that I get in, because I feel like I've developed mechanisms to prevent that. Not that there's gonna be like not that there's not gonna be some slip ups and like whatever there always is, but I do feel confident in like, you know, being able to navigate that. So I'm wet about that.
I honestly, I feel confident in you as well, babe. Like, I've such major fucking growth, like, and it's never going to be perfect, but I honestly think like being in that tragic fucking death relationship kind of skyrocketed you a little bit, because you were scared. You were like, I can't let this happen again. I would say I'm just so wet that I'm single. Like, through the knowledge, it's like, I'm like, yeah, for sure. Like, this confirms it. Like, I should be single, because that lose shit would definitely happen to me. Like,
yeah,
right now, because I'm still trying to even figure out like what my new adult hobbies are. Like, I still like to dance. I've always liked to dance. I like to do creative stuff, but it's like, maybe I should play pickleball. Like, I haven't really, like, mad bitches be playing pickleball.
I know, my boss
like
does,
trending.
and my doctor.
All the bitches for my job. I swear to God, these bitches are, I don't know. So I'm like, I need to figure that out. And I'm just like wet about being single, because I also feel like I'm almost 26. Like, Fiji's just turned 26. Like, a lot of women are like, our biological clock. But I'm like, but I'm not stressed about that. But I also feel like, because I'm queer, like, I know there's so many other ways for me to have a child.
Yeah.
And I do want to be a mom, just in case you guys weren't aware. But yeah, so I'm just wet that like I know what I need to do. I be doing it. It doesn't mean I can't flirt, because I'm definitely gonna be flirting.
As far as dry, I am dry about boyfriend air and all of that whole thing, because I definitely feel boyfriend air and like the
boyfriend effect.
Yeah, but on TikTok people also call it boyfriend air.
Okay.
Yeah, like the boyfriend effect. But like I'm definitely dry about that, because I feel like I be like letting myself go like a little bit, or like just, I don't know, like not giving a fuck as much. I think like right now, like I still am, you know, trying to work out and do all those things, but I'm not doing my makeup on a daily basis.
When you went out to dinner, like you wore makeup. Like,
yeah.
When you guys go out so like that's good.
Yeah.
It would be like annoying to like you guys are with each other a decent amounts, like obviously, but I get it. And I feel like part of it is like fucked up and like maybe a little misogyny. Like we feel like we always have to be dolled up, but also it's like you don't want to, once you get to that place in a relationship where you feel comfortable, like you're worried like the spice is going to go away too. So it's like both those things.
Because it's like I start to feel like, oh, like we're like best friends too. Like if you were coming over, I'm not going to do all my makeup unless we're going somewhere. Like if he's coming over, like I'm like comfortable. We're going to be in bed. We're going to be fucking. Like why am I putting eyelashes on?
Yeah, he's
like
gonna
let's
fuck
be
it off of me.
realistic. Yeah, but like I do think like especially with the podcast and like, you know, I still have friends and all of that, like I still like want to get dolled up.
Yeah.
But I definitely dry about that because I don't know what the fuck is with that because bitches do be breaking out and gaining weight when we get in relationships. Not that there's anything wrong with gaining weight, but you know.
I know. When I said that at the beginning, I probably sounded like a fucking... But, yeah, there's nothing wrong with gaining weight, but it's just interesting to see how, like... And it's not even just about gaining weight. It's like, yeah, not wearing the makeup or, like, just doing weird shit.
Or
like,
not being healthy. Like, we'll order Uber Eats all the time. Like, me and the guy that I dated at the beginning of college, we would eat so much just bad shit. Just bad shit.
It's like a thing. It really is. But, yeah, I would say... I don't know. I guess I'm kind of dry. Like, I feel like at the beginning, like, we were kind of talking about how, like, maybe this is inevitable, like, to lose yourself in a relationship once. Like, I feel like I am dry about that. Like, I feel like really processing it. Like, I agree. Like, I feel like that's not inevitable, and I don't think it should be advocated like that. But I do get, like, because of our society, how some people would see it like that and whatever. I'm dry, like, about the problem in general. Like, I think it's, like, relationships are hard enough, and we have to like be worrying about all these warning signs and red flags, not only in the other person, but in yourself. And it can seem like a lot, but I truly feel like it's like, as you grow up, as you heal from all the things we all have to heal from, like it gets better. It gets less overwhelming to like be in that, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I think like what you said at the beginning of that is what I'm confused about. So like, that little excerpt where it was like, you're going to inevitably lose yourself in relationships in order to grow. Like, that part has me a little iffy because I don't want to lose myself again. Like, I am open to growing and, like, learning, but, like, I don't know. Where that line begins and ends, where I need to self-reflect on my own behavior and internalize things and be self-aware versus when I don't need to be, like, that line is still a little bit confusing for me.
I get that. I would say the most confusing thing for me is like what we talked about, like I give 110% in my relationships and I expect the other to do the same. Like I truly believe like it should not be like that.
Yeah.
But again, I do think like I'm a little pessimistic. Like I'm a little bit like very just like loving being single right now, loving giving all the time to myself.
Yeah.
And not to someone else. I'm like, God, I'm so
you
done
have
with
no
other
time.
people's fucking problems.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done.
And that's a beautiful place to be in. Like, treasure
I'm
that.
happy with it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel lit, bro. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I think that part's confusing, and I think my opinion may change on that and things like that. It's like, again, like, both of us, like we haven't been in the healthiest thing, so it's kind of like well, of course
our opinions are always subject to change, guys, you know that.
Yeah. Everything we say, I guarantee you, even maybe 2 episodes ago I changed my mind on something.
If you go on a date with that guy from Hinge, it could change. We never know.
I know. Then I'm like, I'm gonna give 200%. That's my daddy. I'm screaming. Well, yeah, I guess that about does it for this episode, guys. If you listened to the whole thing, we love you. If you didn't, we still love you. Make sure you do subscribe to our YouTube if you're watching there. Follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that. We would love a rate on Spotify. That would be amazing. And really any way you guys can interact with our content, like even just a like, even just a comment of like this, it means so much to us. We're also on Instagram and TikTok. We do post on there. Like I said, all the polls are always on Instagram. So if you want to submit for the episode, you want to have your voice heard on here, submit. You can literally just DM us. Even if it's not a poll, DM us a story and we will talk about it. Yeah, I think that's everything for me.
Yes, and definitely drop a comment. Let us know what you guys thought. We reply to every comment. We are still small enough to do that for the extended future. If you guys are listening on Spotify, we have listener support. It really helps us pay for our equipment, trips to see each other, and produce better content. Because if you guys don't know, we are bi-coastal. It's 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99 a month. We love you so much, and we will catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Have you ever been like kind of like touching someone, chilling with someone, like maybe in public or whatever, where you like kind of have a mini orgasm because like the energy or like the whatever?
No, babe. Or maybe I have, but I'm like, you have orgasms in your ears. Like, you have
Not in my
orgasms
ears.
everywhere.
In
I'm
my
like,
mouth, I have, but like, yeah.
what? Like, I'm like, what?
Like, because I've had orgasms before where I've seen like colors
Here
or
we
like
go. Here we go.